up have a little bit of overview of how it works from that video. Yeah. Oh. That help out any?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Our learning objectives for this one is to explain how safety belt and retractors function, operation of the front airbag, describe procedures to diagnose common faults in the system, explain how passenger presence system works. That basically is somebody sitting in that seat. Obviously, there's always going to be somebody in the driver's seat, but is there somebody sitting in the passenger seat? That way it knows if the passenger airbag needs to deploy or not. If there's nobody sitting there, it's not going to deploy that airbag in the event of a crash, okay? How seat and side curtain airbags work. The data recorded by an event recorder when the airbag is deployed. So they have a thing kind of like the black box on an airplane. It will record certain data when the airbag deploys, okay? We don't have access to that information, but the insurance companies, accident investigator type of thing, they'll have access to that, but that's not something we could access to a scan tool or something like that. All right, your safety belts. 3-point support, constructed of nylon webbing, about 2 inches wide. The retractors, which lock in the position of the belt in the event of a collision or rollover. You notice if you have your seatbelt on, you try to move forward too quick, it'll lock you. Or if you hit the brake too fast, it'll lock that retractor. Okay. Emergency web speed sensor retractors, which allow freedom of movement for the driver and the passenger, but lock if the vehicle is accelerating too fast or decelerating too fast. All 8 model vehicles equipped with safety belt warning light on the dash and a chime that sounds if the belt is not fastened. Some cars are more annoying than others. Have you ever driven your car without the seat belt for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Sometimes the warning gets pretty annoying, right? It just makes you want to put it on so it'll be quiet.
These new Hondas, whenever we take them from the shop to the drive, I don't put the seatbelt on just for And as I'm pulling into the drive, it talks to you. It says, "Please put on your driver's please put on your driver's seatbelt." I'm like, this is...
Yeah, every car is a little bit different, but some will actually tell you to do it. They had years ago, this was a long time ago, this was back in some 74, so maybe even some 73 cars had this. The car would not start unless you put your seatbelt on. Yeah. All right. Pretensioners, that's an explosive pyrotechnic device that's part of the seatbelt retractor assembly, tightens the seatbelt as the airbag is being deployed. We saw a little bit of this in the video. Primary restraint system is the seatbelt. Stretching of the belt allows impact to help reduce bodily injury. How you like that animation? Bam! Okay, most seatbelts have an inertia type mechanism that locks the belt in the event of rapid movement. Seatbelt warning light, this is a small explosive charge in the pretensioner. It forces the end of the seatbelt down the tube, which removes any slack in the seatbelt. Once those are deployed, they have to be replaced for one-time use piece. Purpose of your pretensioner, position the occupant properly for airbag deployment. We've all seen TV shows or movies where they show an airbag deploying in a car. Obviously that's all a bunch of crap. It doesn't work that way. You saw in that video how quick it happens, right? It inflates and deflates in 100 milliseconds. You're not driving around with a big balloon in your face.
Yeah.
All right. Passive restraints designed to cushion the driver or passenger if the passenger side is so equipped during a frontal collision. It may be known for several different names, SRS, SIR, SAR, but they all start with supplemental. Okay, got to wear your seatbelt. Parts involved: sensors, the inflator module, clock spring wiring, the steering column. We've talked about the clock spring before. That is your wiring coil inside the steering wheel. Allows the steering wheel to turn without having wiring problems. All right. To cause the deployment of the airbag, two sensors must be triggered at the same time: the arming sensor and the forward sensor. The squib uses electrical power and converts it into heat for ignition of the propellant to ignite the airbag, which we saw in the video. Solid fuel and compressed gas. I don't know if they use compressed gas anymore, but as we saw in that video, they used to use those sodium azide pellets. I guess they use something else now. Time for deployment. Collision occurs. The sensor detects 16 milliseconds. It's deployed and the seam cover rips 40 milliseconds. Fully inflated at 100. Deflated 250 milliseconds. In other words, an airbag deployment occurs and is over. Done with the whole event in a quarter of a second. All three types of sensors act as a switch to complete the circuit. We saw a couple of switches in the videos. Magnetically retained gold-plated ball sensor, rolled up stainless steel ribbon type integral sensor. Two-stage airbags, low stage deployment, high stage, low and high stage. Airbag wiring is always yellow for easy identification. You guys knew that, right? Anything with a yellow casing over the wiring is airbag. All right, typical system showing the components. The SDM is the sensing and diagnostic module. Includes the arming sensor as well as the electronics that keep the circuits. Keep checking the circuits for continuity and the capacitors discharged to deploy the airbags. If your airbag light is on your car, it will not deploy. Okay, the system will not work. We saw this in the video here. This is that sensor out front here. Magnet holds this ball in place. These are the contacts. When that ball rolls forward, very rapid deceleration, it will complete this circuit.
Do airbags expire? Do they need to be replaced?
Not normally. I have not seen any type of situation where if your car is 20 years old and it was never had an airbag deployment or something like that, that you need to replace it, not that I know of.
Right.
I don't think they expire. As long as the airbag light isn't on in the car, the system should work. It does self-check every time you start the car, so if the light's not on, you should be good. This is a simplified deployment circuit. Note that both arming sensor and the discriminating sensor must be activated at the same time. Remember, it's got to have at least two sensors that agree with each other. Okay, let's do this. Arming sensor provides the power. Neither one of the streaming sensors can provide the ground to the circuit. Inflator module being removed from the housing. The squib is inside the inflator module, and the heating element that ignites that pyrotechnic gas. Generator rapidly produces nitrogen gas, filling the airbag. Deployed curtain airbag. All right, we saw one of those magnetic sensors in that first video. This is basically what it's going to look like. That ball in there is gold plated because gold does not corrode. That way that sensor can't get corroded and get a problem and and for some reason not work. The contacts on all the airbag connectors are also gold plated for that reason. It won't corrode and you won't lose, get bad connections there, okay? Different type there, we saw the inside of that one sensor, this is just a different one here. This one has the accelerometer in it. There's a couple of your connections at the airbag. Again, that's all gonna be yellow cased wire, and the wires themselves aren't necessarily yellow, but the casing over the wire is gonna be yellow. Okay? Types of airbag inflators, your argon gas, sodium azide. Self-test procedure. Electrical portion of the airbag is constantly checked by the circuits within the airbag, energizing power unit through the airbag controller. Diagnostics are going to require the normal tools, scan tool, the digital multimeter. There is a few special tools for airbag diagnostics. Always follow the warning labels. Make sure you maintain a safe distance from the airbag after collision. All the sensors must be replaced. That's body shop job. Normally, you're not going to get any issues or have any repairs with that airbag thing. Maybe the circuit or the system, if it doesn't work, that after deployment, you know, that's all going to be collision center type of work. Ever jar or strike a sensor, if handling a deployed airbag, wear gloves. Or the diagnostic testing. Disarming. Disconnect negative battery cable, remove the airbag fuse, disconnect airbag connectors. Just make sure if you're taking apart something that has to do with the airbag, that you take the necessary precautions that they tell you to do. The system can detect faults and disable the system and illuminate a warning light. All right. The airbag module replacement for the steering wheel, typically pretty easy to get to, depends on the car. They're going to give you one example of how to do it, but again, normally they're not too hard to get out. You don't have to take the steering wheel off, you just have to take the airbag itself out. Unplug the sensors there. Clock spring, we've seen that before, right?
Yes.
Black conductive wire must be positioned to ensure proper operation. Okay. If we had to replace an airbag years ago for whatever reason, whether it was a recall or whatever, they wanted you to deploy that airbag before you sent it back. So they would send the dealers a kit and you would take it out in the parking lot and you would set that airbag off and send it back. You no longer have to do that. Okay, you just put it back in the package it originally came in, give it back to the parts department, they send it back, okay? This is says safety when manually deploying airbags. We don't do that anymore. So we're not gonna worry about that. All right. Passenger airbag must be disabled or deployed with reduced force when the seat is empty or a small child or small adult is present. It does have a sensor in the passenger seat that will kind of test the weight of whoever's sitting there. So it will adjust the deployment rate. Gel-filled capacitive strips or force sensing resistors, those different types that they're going to use in that. You've all seen that in the car. Passenger airbag is off. Typically, if there's nobody sitting in that seat, somebody sitting there, it will say passenger airbag on or armed or something like that. Just showing you the different types of sensors for that. They do use a weight, test weight, used to calibrate the system. So that weight weighs probably, I don't know, 90 pounds or something like that. You just set that in the seat and it'll test to see if that passenger presence system is working. All right, seat and side curtain airbags generally mounted inside the bolster of the seat. Side curtain airbags are mounted in headline or door panel. Deployment of both systems depend on side impact sensors and their controllers. Event data recorders. They will record parameters just before and slightly after airbag deployment. Only be achieved using a piece of special equipment known as crash data retrieval system. Cannot be performed by a service technician. Must have specialized training and authorization to retrieve the data. Not something you can do. Okay? Anybody ever watch that show called Air Disasters,
No.
where they reenact plane crashes? It's pretty crazy. I watched one last night. This, I forget where they were going, but this guy had his kids on the plane, and he brought them up into the cockpit and wanted to show them what was going on and what it was like to sit in the seat and all that. And somehow, they partially disabled the autopilot, and the plane went down. Horrible, horrible story, but they do a really good job of reenacting the.
Do they have airbags in airplanes?
No. No.
What is the show called?
It's called Air Disasters. It's on the Smithsonian channel. It's actually very interesting. If there's anything good to come of something like that, they do serious investigations on them, and they try to make it, whatever happened, they try to make sure it never happens again. So with each one of these, it gets a little safer to fly, if that's any consolation. Okay. All done?
Yep.
All right. Hello, hello. Time to go. To all you.
Technician A says the airbag electrical terminals are copper plated to protect against corrosion. Technician B says that pretensions are explosive pyrotechnic devices which remove the slag from the seatbelt and help position the occupant. Who's right? Both.
B. They're gold plated.
Exactly.
Technician B.
B only. They're gold plated, not copper.
Number 2, which airbag system component is shown in this illustration? Clock spring.
The clock spring is what's there, yes.
Number 3, the force required to deploy a typical airbag is approximately equal to the force of a vehicle hitting a wall at over 15 to 10.
At over 15?
Yeah.
Anybody find 15 in the book?
No.
10, right? 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are any of these on the test?
There's a question about the electrical terminals, but you already know that. Sensors must be employed. Wait, all right, nothing yet.
There any airbag component of the vehicle that they can report all of these except take passenger no stops?
That is correct. Doesn't care what you're saying.
Number 5, I'll put B.
Retentioner? That is correct.
What enables an airbag to deploy in an accident, even if the battery becomes disconnected during the crash? B.
Where are we? 6.
Six.
Oh, okay,
6.
6.
It's B.
Yep. They thought of everything. What happens if the battery comes disconnected during the crash? Then you have no electrical power. What if the airbag doesn't work because of that?
Yep.
They got it covered.
Which of these is the heating element used to ignite the gas generating material, usually sodium azide? Alright.
Squib.
Yep, the squib.
Before the airbag can inflate, the squib circuit must have a ground. The ground is provided through the actuation of which of these? C.
Yep. C.
Both.
All right.
Number 9, which parameters might be stored in the airbag controller in the event of a deployment? D, brakes on or off.
That's all right. Were you trying to stop or not? Okay.
Number 10, the upper pine defect resection system measures the weight.
The weight of the person in the passenger seat is right.
Okay. Have they taken all into consideration all people's weights? Like 100-pound person or 400, 500-pound person?
It takes into consideration how much the passenger weighs, yes, in order to determine the severity of the deployment. Is it gonna need to deploy a high rate, so it just depends, just so it doesn't, cause damage to a smaller person or a child. All right.
Number 1.
Easy question, gold plated, right?
All of those?
First 4 questions, you're gonna see later. Keeping the ignition key in your pocket will prevent damage to the clock spring during airbag service, yes or no?
No.
This is kind of a stupid question, why would you put it in your pocket? It should say out of the ignition. It's true, because if the key is out of the ignition, the steering wheel's locked, and it can't rotate and damage the clock spring.
Okay.
So this is gonna be a true statement. How many sensors are required for airbag deployment?
2.
2 of them must be triggered at the same time, right?
Yep.
Okay, these first 4 questions you're gonna see later. Which one is this? Number 4. A vehicle equipped with an occupant detection system, how much weight is required before the airbag will deploy at full force?
In the book, I saw they put like 90 pounds.
For it to deploy at full force, the person has to weigh more than 99 pounds. We did that one. Seatbelt retention or used to move the slack of the seatbelt in event of collision. I think we did that one, right? The occupant detection system recalibrates at every key cycle.
Occupant detection, yes. True.
It does.
Every
Because
time.
every time you cycle the key, it means you've gone from one place to another, got out of the car. Who knows if there's somebody in the car? Passenger may not be in there anymore, or may be. Resets every key cycle.
Why would Technician A... Why? I mean, it's already deployed. Why is it still live?
Vehicle is being repaired after airbag deployment. Tech A says the inflator module should be handled as if it's still live.
Could it go again?
I don't think so, but they say you should handle it that way and wear gloves, so both of those are gonna be good. Give that one.
Yes.
What's first step to be taken when servicing airbag?
Disconnect the battery.
Negative battery cable, all right. Good. All done with those. What questions? We did number 1, right?
Yep.
That's both of them.
2 is all?
2 is all of them, yep. 3 is the weight of the person in the passenger seat. Dual stage airbags. Deployed airbag is safe to handle regardless of which stage. Oh, that's why they tell you to handle it as if it's still live. Maybe it has another stage that wasn't deployed. Some of them have 2 stages, yeah.
Alright.
Okay, that makes sense. It just kind of hit me on that one. Okay, yeah, okay. So B for number 4, right? is not safe to handle. What are shorting bars used for?
Shorting bars?
Or where, I should say, where are they
Where
used?
are shorting bars used? I don't even know what a shorting bar is.
It's B, that's the connectors for the airbags. Whenever you unplug a connector, they have these special tools that go in there, and all it does is shorts the two terminals together, so there's no way that there could be an accidental deployment of the airbag while you were working on the system. All right. Deployed airbag can be repacked, reused.
No.
No. They can just be discarded, replaced with a new, yeah, that's a common sense question. Color the wiring yellow, color the wiring conduit and connectors yellow. Curtain airbags, lateral acceleration sensor port 8. Two for number 9. Which parameters might be stored in the airbag controller in the event of a deployment?
Seatbelt fastened?
Yep. Did you have your seatbelt on? Yep. All right. Next chapter talks about autonomous vehicles and audio systems for 62, and we're all done. Autonomous vehicles does not mean that the car drives itself. There is levels of automation which we'll get into. Although if it is fully autonomous, they do have cars out there that do not need a driver. All right, benefits concerning autonomous vehicles, level of automation and computer power needed. Different types of sensors used in those cars. Importance of having communication between vehicles and infrastructure. How cameras can be used, explain the purpose of multi-domain controllers, and how they work. Need for automation, because people don't pay attention when they're driving. Driving, you have to pay attention. Fortunately, that's not the case so much anymore. Distracted driving is a problem. Lane keep assistance, emergency braking, connected vehicle applications for safety, traffic update, convenience. What is an autonomous vehicle? A vehicle uses an automated system that monitors the driving environment, makes navigation decisions without driver input. It finds its roots in Da Vinci's self-propelled cart of the 1500s. You can believe that. All right, introduction. Benefits are fewer traffic collisions, increased roadway capacity, and increased speed limits and occupant productivity. Concerns, resistance of drivers to accept it. Some people do not like these systems. Hardware function in poor driving conditions, cybersecurity and loss of privacy. Managing the transition to full automation. Okay, here is your levels of automation. Level 0 means the car has nothing to assist the driver. Level 1 means the car is equipped with cruise control. Most cars have at least a level 1, right? Level 2 of the adaptive cruise control, blind spot warning, lane departure, forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking, or self-park. Levels 3, 4, and 5 are equipped with LiDAR, radar, cameras to detect objects around the vehicle, and they're able to communicate with other vehicles. This is how it works as far as who's driving, who's monitoring, who intervenes. Graphic example of who's driving, monitoring the conditions, and who can intervene in a situation that requires evasive action. As you can see, no automation, it shows that you.
Yep.
This is the way it should be all the time anyway. Level 2 Driver assist, who's driving, you and the computer, who's monitoring you, who intervenes, you, and you get down all the way to level 5 where you see there's no person in the vehicle at all. Okay, this is your chart showing the vehicle capabilities in a certain level of automation. Pre-collision system is designed to prevent a collision first and interacts to prepare for a collision if needed. Case of the inoperative radar cruise control, probably had something wrong with a sensor or had something on it that would not allow it to work. Dash warning message appears when the cruise control stopped working. Ice buildup is what caused the problem on that. Don't have too much problem with that here. Computer power needed. Data processing needs increase exponentially in self-driving level 5 autonomous vehicles. AI, or artificial intelligence, is machine learning accomplished through programming training that allows the computer to react much like a human. AI includes the hardware and the software needed to make adjustments and judgments based on the input from sensors, knowledge of the surrounding environment. All right. Radio detection and ranging, or radar, emits radio waves that bounce off objects and return for interpretation. Radar transmits a radio wave at a specific frequency. That radio wave will bounce off objects and return to the radar. The Doppler effect is also used to calculate position and speed of another object. You guys have heard of Doppler radar when they talk about weather, right? Yeah? No? Maybe?
No.
No? All right. Diagnosis of the radar system begins with checking for diagnostic trouble codes, technical service bulletins. Calibration is required anytime the unit is replaced or installed. Calibration may be static in the shop or dynamic on the road, or a combination of the two. Cameras are used to replace the human eye. The light that reflects off an object in the front of the lens passes to the lens and is collected at a focal point and passes to a charge-coupled device. And that device is for the movement of electrical charge, conversion into a digital value. Diagnosis and calibration of the cameras begins by reading and checking for diagnostic trouble codes, making sure the camera lens is free of obstructions. Calibration of the camera is required when one or more cameras are replaced or a mounting component such as windshield, bump cover, door, something like that. Okay, LiDAR systems means light detecting and ranging, or light imaging detection and ranging. They're able to create 3D images at 300 yards, which is a lot further than the camera is able to detect objects. Laser light from the sensor can view all objects surrounding the vehicle. This is how they do that. This is what you were asking about the other day. How do they get a 360-degree image of what's around the car? Ultrasound used in parking assistance has an effective operating range of 2 to 4 yards. To inject can detect objects on all four sides of the vehicle. We've seen the ultrasonic sensors before on cars, you see them in the bumper covers. Dedicated short-range communication, that is for vehicle-to-vehicle communication as well as vehicle-to-infrastructure communication. Tells you the frequency it works on, which we don't really have to worry about. Signal strength is measured with specific equipment designed to measure it. Dedicated short-range communication systems. For vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure communication. Your multi-domain controller receives inputs and many different operating systems add mapping information and makes necessary navigation decisions. It is anticipated that a multi-domain controller needs to process about 4,000 gigabytes information per day. Your actuators, used to control the vehicle through actuators, engine, transmission, steering, brakes, HMI, that's your human-machine interface, vehicle to everything systems. These systems are commonly referred to as control by wire. All right. The advanced architectures needed for self-driving vehicles rely on real-time communications and data from all of the sensors. Images and data are then combined with the data from the communications from other vehicles, environment to make necessary decisions on how to proceed. AI is needed to process all of the data and images and create what is needed to achieve a level 5 autonomous vehicle. Brake-by-wire system, using all the electronic components, eventually replace the hydraulic-based systems on those vehicles. And you all can wake up now. I can see this is getting pretty boring for everybody, huh? Tiffany's quiet today.
Extremely stressed. A lot of life going on.
Yeah, I can tell.
Huh?
That's what it's been.
You stop me all the time, get fucking paper. Bitch. Alright, bro, I'm super. Apologize, bro.
Sincere.
I apologize. You swing me my fucking knee, bro. I'm gonna throw it to you. Next time you do my fucking knee off. I'll spit on you, bro.
How you doing?
Good?
You all done?
Yeah.
Yeah? How about you? Doing all right? You got them all done? Almost? not done? Yeah? You still working, you said? No, you are done. Okay.
Ready?
All right, let's go.
What SAE level has the vehicle handling all functions without any driver interventions? Level 5.
Okay?
The purpose of a camera in an autonomous vehicle is to replace the human eye. B.
Okay?
Three, ultrasound on autonomous vehicle is being discussed, technician A says that, particular use assist application, technician B says it has not effective operating range of approximately, 2 to 4 yards. They are both right.
Okay.
Mayor, what may be required to operate in the field of camera system? C.
C, is correct?
How many manufacturers currently offer CAE level equipped vehicles? 2.
2 is right.
Radar system used to calculate the speed and distance of objects. B.
The Doppler effect.
An autonomous vehicle can have up to how many driving levels? I know a car that it's C6 or 7.
Okay, remember 0 is included, so it's 0 to 5, so it's 6, yeah. Yep, that might be confusing, but that's why you didn't see the number 5 up there.
Okay.
We included level 0. All right,
Is 8C?
I'm sorry,
C.
is 8C, yes.
Number 9, on an autonomous vehicle, navigation decisions are made by the
Yeah.
multi-domain controller.
Okay,
So mechanic, one will help if there is a fault in any of the, actuators of autonomous vehicles. And the C.
it's actually C. The system will enter fail-safe mode and a diagnostic trouble code will be set, so you can diagnose the problem, what's going on with it. We did number 1, right?
Systems Doppler effect.
Level 2.
D.
C or D?
D.
Yeah, go.
React like a
What allows computers to learn and react like a human?
human. AI.
AI.
Person.
Actuators control what?
All. Dang, all of them are.
Dedicate to short-range communication. Well, how is that used?
Both.
Vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to infrastructure, both.
Right.
Vehicle
5.
level has driver
Oh, we on which one? 6.
Level
doing
5.
nothing. Yeah. There's no driver. Cameras used to what? Post
Trace.
pictures on social media, exactly. Replace the human eye. Ensure preparation, the radar unit should be cleaned when needed. Large pattern maps may be needed to calibrate the cameras. And we did this one. Alright. One left.
Oh, what the fuck is that?
Tomorrow.
Oh, my books.
What is that?
It's a moth. There it is.
A bat?
Where's the moth? All I hit it was
It's a moth.
I don't like bugs, bro. Hmm. I don't give a fuck what's the. I don't know behind that.
What is that? All right, audio systems, last chapter. You all excited?
Yeah.
How'd you do on your catching up? You got a couple of tests to do today. Can you handle them? Okay. When do you wanna do it? What? Okay. Let me, I think. Let me make sure I have these ready to go. I think I have. Let me grab these real quick. Yeah, good. Gonna go through AM, FM, satellite radio, how they work. Anybody know what AM and FM is? Talked about it before. Somebody remembered that, I think. I can't remember who it was.
Morning, morning, after morning.
Yep, there you go. Amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, AM, FM. Okay? Satellite radios obviously work from satellite, right? Radio receivers, antennas, antenna diagnosis. Types of speakers, decibel scale, crossover to aftermarket sound upgrades, stuff like that. Bluetooth satellite systems, correction of radio noise interference. Audio systems produce audible sounds including the following: your AM, FM satellite radio. Antennas are used to capture electronic energy broadcasts to the radio. Speaker systems, aftermarket enhancement devices that increase sound energy in the output of an audio system. Diagnosis of audio-related problems. Types of energy: electromagnetic energy or radio waves, acoustical energy called sound. Terminology: RF, radio frequencies, number of times a particular waveform repeats itself in a given amount of time. And we've been through hertz before. Measurement of a waveform signal with a frequency of 1 hertz is 1 radio wavelength per second. Okay, there's your AM, FM that we talked about a minute ago. Modulation is a term used to describe when information is added to a constant frequency. You ever play with radio equipment?
No.
No? CB, ham radio, anything like that? No? All right, radio wave transmission. More than one signal can be carried by a radio wave. This process is called sideband operation. Years ago, if you had a CB radio, you had typically, before they came out with 40 channels, they only had 23 channels. Channel 16 is the one they used for upper and lower sideband. That's where this comes in. Okay, RFI is one type of electromagnetic interference, a frequency that interferes with radio transmission. AM characteristics. Reception can be achieved over long distances from the transmitter because the waves bounce off the ionosphere. FM. Radio waves have a high frequency, short wavelength, they only travel a short distance. Multipath, caused by reflected, refracted, or line of sight signals reaching antennas at different times. Multipath results from the radio wave receiving 2 signals processed on the same frequency. You ever been driving down the road, listening to the radio, and the station starts to fade away, and then another one comes in almost at the same time?
Yeah.
And for a minute, you're hearing both stations?
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you get out of range of one, another one will typically pick up and then start broadcasting on that same frequency. A lot of radio stations broadcast on the same frequency, but the range isn't so much that it interferes. Audio systems will use both electromagnetic radio waves and sound waves to reproduce sound inside the vehicle. Relationship among wavelength, frequency, and amplitude. Your amplitude is your vertical line, time, or frequency is your horizontal line. AM waves, FM waves, if you were to look at it as a waveform. Your tune frequency is in the middle of your upper and lower sideband. That's just minus 100 kilohertz or plus 100 kilohertz. Why do AM signals travel farther than FM signals?
Because the waves can bounce off the ionosphere.
There you go.
What's the ionosphere?
What's that?
What's the ionosphere?
Ionosphere? Let's look it up. Let's find out what it is. I don't know exactly how to describe it to you.
Thinking it would have to do something with the atmosphere.
It does, yeah. Let's see what it says. It's the Earth's upper atmosphere between 80 and about 600 kilometers north extreme ultraviolet, EUV, and X-ray solar radiation. Ions and atom molecules, thus creating layers of electrons. It's important because it reflects and modifies radio waves for communication and navigation. There you go.
Alright.
All right. Most radio receivers use 5 input and output circuits, power, ground, stereo, data, antenna, speaker outputs, normal stuff. Types of antennas. Ever seen the antennas there in the windshield of cars? Yeah.
Windshield.
That was pretty popular in some cars a long time ago. My Trans Am actually has a radio antenna in the windshield. Okay, sometimes it could be rear free fog grid, power mast, fixed mast, integrated, anything like that. And they can be in all kinds of different places. Ground plane, I don't think we need to worry about the ground plane. It's actually one half of the antenna. Most fixed antennas are exactly 31 inches long. You can use an ohmmeter to test the antenna. Should be infinity between the center lead and the case. Case the antenna must be properly grounded to the vehicle body. Cable should have less than 5 ohms of resistance end to end.
What does infinity look like on a ohm meter? Is it just a symbol?
No, it would be OL.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most antennas use a circuit breaker to relay to power the reversible permanent magnet motor that moves the dial and cord the antenna to move it up and down. Power antenna mast is tested the same way as a fixed one. All of them should be kept clean by wiping them with soft cloth, WD-40, something like that. The ohm meter readings are satisfactory, the antenna is good. Less than 5 ohms, that's good, right? OL, that's good too. All right, hole in the fender cover trick. That's just if you have a fixed antenna on something and you put a fender cover on it. You cut a hole in it. All right, typical power antenna is going to have a braided ground strap on it to ensure the antenna has a good ground plane. Okay, everybody knows what a speaker is, hopefully.
Yes.
The purpose of the speaker is to reproduce the original sound as accurately as possible. Impedance matching, that is just ohms, okay? Same thing as resistance as far as the speaker goes, okay? All speakers on the radio or amplifier should have the same internal coil resistance. Typical speaker wire is about 22 gauge. You don't need big wire for speakers. between 6 and 7 volts is applied to each speaker terminal and the audio amplifier, then increases the voltage on one terminal, at the same time decrease the voltage on the other terminal, causing the speaker tone to move. You can actually check a speaker with a battery. Like that. Tone should move inward and outward when you hook the battery to it. Use just a little 1.5 volt battery. You don't want to use something too big on it. Should move one way with one polarity, the other way with the other. Okay. If 2 4-ohm speakers are connected in series, total resistance is 8. We learned that from our circuits, right? If 2 4-ohm speakers are connected in parallel, total impedance or resistance is 2, right? You could draw those just like resistors in a circuit. Okay, you replace this with this, which we're familiar with, right? Same thing. Okay? You could just draw a 4-ohm resistor here or 4-ohm resistor here in place of that speaker, same thing, as far as the circuit goes. Types of tweeters, speakers. Tweeter, that is your high frequency. That one produces the 4 to 20,000 hertz. Your mid-range, designed and manufactured to be able to reproduce the best sounds in the middle of the human hearing range. Mid-range is where you get most of your sound that you can actually hear. Subwoofer produces the lowest frequency, usually around 125 hertz. Those are the ones that are irritating when people drive around with their vibrating cars. Decibel scale, measure of sound power on the decibel scale is not linear or straight line, but logarithmic. Small differences in decibel rating mean a big difference in the sound and volume of the speaker. Examples of decibels. Quiet or faint is about 30. Loud is around 70. Hearing loss, about 110. Crossovers, those are designed to separate the frequency of sound that transcend a certain frequency range, such as low bass sounds to a woofer, designed to produce these low frequency sounds. Passive and active Fourier crossovers. A passive does not use an external power source. Active crossover does. From our sound system upgrades, we don't worry too much about that. Capacitor installation, you guys can see most capacitors like that. You see sometimes in cars with big subwoofers in them. They're connected in parallel to provide necessary current flow to power a large subwoofer speaker. When the amplifier requires more electrical power than the battery can supply, capacitor discharges into the amplifier. Voice recognition. If it allows the driver to perform tasks such as locating an address and navigation system by voice command rather than buttons. Diagnosis is normal, just like it is on everything else. Bluetooth operation, everybody knows what that is, hopefully.
Yep.
It's a radio frequency standard for short range communications. It operates in the industrial, scientific, and medical band between 2.4 and 2.4835 megahertz. Bluetooth receiver can be built into navigation or existing sound system. Built-in microphone allows the driver to use voice commands to operate features, as well as telephone conversations. Remember those from a long time ago? Bluetooth earpiece. All right, satellite radio. XM, Sirius XM is most popular. I don't know that there's any other one. Most popular satellite radio service offered is optional in most vehicles. Reception can be blocked by anything that would block the signal. Antenna must be able to receive satellite and repeater signals. You see a question that says, how does satellite radios work? Antennas and repeaters, both. Satellites and repeaters.
I have Sirius XM, but I don't have that like block thing on my car. Nor do I have like any extra antenna.
It doesn't have like a shark fin or anything like that? No?
My dad's car has it, and his is stuck to the like how his is like right on the
Mhm.
side of the car.
Mhm.
So like I don't know how it works. My car came with it. But
It's gotta have some sort of antenna, maybe it's just someplace where you can't see it.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been able to see. I've actually looked for it.
Yeah. Any tall enough block signal. Radio interference caused by variations in voltage in the power line that may be picked up by the antenna. Capacitors can be used to eliminate ignition noise in the system. A radio choke breakdown, why we don't worry about that one. Capacitors can be used to block interference. Lightning damage. Antennas have been hit by lightning. I bet that didn't feel good. The two items need to add the wiring or reduce noise capacitor already approved. Okay. That's the end of that. That is the end of that. I got your test book ready to go, so lunchtime you can go. You write yourself something to eat, so you can just eat in here and read the test, I guess, right? Okay. Or in the break room. Really not supposed to have food in here, but.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Ready?
Technician A says that radios receive AM and FM signals that are broadcast through the air. Technician B says that the radio antenna is used to induce a very large voltage signal as an input into the radio from the electromagnetic energy from the broadcast station. Who was right? Both.
All right. AM and FM signals broadcast through the air. Is that
Sure.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Tech B says the radio antenna is used to induce a very large voltage. No, it's not. It does not induce a large voltage. All right.
Number 2, all of these can cause radio interference except B, fault in the ignition system.
Negative.
Open in the circuit.
It is D. If you have an open in the power circuit, the radio isn't gonna work. Can't have radio interference if it doesn't even work. Right? What's that? I'm not sure what you said. Would that shut it off? Oh, if there's an open in the power circuit, it means you got no power to it, right? Use the one, something like that. So the radio's just not gonna work, right? So you can't have interference that doesn't work. You can have radio interference if you had an defective alternator, problem ignition system, loose ground wire, something like that. All those others do apply to this. Okay? So this one is going to be D.
Question, right? Voice amplification system microphone is usually located near the glove box door. It's false.
Gotta be closer to you than that, right? Okay.
The number of times further with the
The number of time a waveform repeats itself in a given amount of time, frequency is measured in hertz.
Satellite radio antenna can be mounted on a fiberglass or proposed way where falls.
Right.
100,000 UF means A.
Microfarad, yes, it is A. Okay.
If two 4-ohm speakers are connected in series, meaning the positive of one speaker is connected to the negative of the other speaker, the total impedance will be 8 ohms.
Two 4-ohm speakers connected in series makes 8 is correct.
More than one signal can be carried by a radio wave using a process called frequency modulation. No.
Nope, that would be FM.
Okay.
More than one signal carried by a radio wave. What was that called?
Sideband.
Mm-hmm. You're going 100 hertz below or 100 hertz above the actual frequency that's being tuned. That's upper sideband, lower sideband. Okay.
These speakers have a combined impedance of A.
Two 4 ohms in parallel is 2. Is correct.
Question 10, a Bluetooth signal can typically travel is the voltage.
I'm sorry?
Is the dog.
Yeah. Typical Bluetooth signal can travel about 33 feet. Do crossovers block certain frequencies to allow each type of speaker to perform its job better?
Technician B.
So do you like A or not? Crossovers are used to block certain frequencies to allow each speaker to perform its job better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both then.
So A is good. High filter pass used to block high frequency, no, it's just A
Just A.
for this one, okay? We did that, we did that. To safely install a power line capacitor, it must be first what?
Discharge.
Discharged. Generally, shop having ohms resistance between the center terminal and the grounded outer covering.
Less than 5.
That's the OL one, infinity, no connection there. We did this one, opening the radio power circuit. We did that one, this question, you might see tomorrow. What device passes AC interference to ground, blocks DC voltage, use control, RFI, radio frequency interference.
Transistor.
It is not a transistor.
Capacitor.
Capacitor. Okay.
Both A and B.
9 is both.
Okay?
Okay.
That is that. Okay, break time, actually a little fast, but